Do you think luck is just something that happens once in a while and it's out of your control? Do you ever look at other founders and think, why are they so lucky? Actually, it's not that they're luckier than you. It's that there's a system to this, opportunities for luck all around us. And whether they know it or not, they're running it. I'm Renita Calhorn, and I've worked with hundreds of founders on optimizing for better luck. Let's start with some math. John Littlewood, a professor of mathematics at Cambridge University, calculated that an event occurs about once every second. So if you're alert and paying attention for, let's say, 8 hours a day, it takes roughly 35 days to reach 1 million events. That means that every 35 days, you're statistically likely to encounter something with a 1 in 1 million chance of happening, an exceptional event or a miracle. So according to Littlewood's law of miracles, miracles aren't as rare as they seem. It's a numbers game. Taking advantage of this comes down to two things that are actually in your control. First, your attention, how many chance events you notice. And second, your readiness, whether you're ready to take advantage when one shows up. Here's how it works. Jahil Oliver is the CEO and founder of Hello Tractor, which is like the Uber for tractors. It connects local farmers across Africa who can't buy their own equipment with tractor owners. And when Jahil came on my podcast, The High EQ Founder, he shared a story of luck that set his company off on an incredible trajectory. He was invited to speak at the Global Entrepreneurship Summit in Kenya that President Obama was hosting. Now, his first instinct was to decline. In his words, I get an allergic reaction to frivolous travel, particularly for conferences. But a friend of his who worked at the US State Department urged him to go anyway, and he finally said, okay. Now, by chance, 3 months earlier, Jahil had done a session with a speech coach. 30 minutes, no real objective. He wasn't preparing for anything specific. He had the opportunity, and he took it. When he landed at the conference in Kenya and walked into the room for a test run, it was full of high-level people from the National Security Council, senior State Department officials, television personalities. The press section alone of the venue was the size of the audience he'd expected to address. And he realized, wow, this is a big deal. And as if that weren't enough, the organizer turned to him and said, you'll be moderating a panel with President Obama and President Kenyatta. As he walked out of the hall, he ran into a buddy of his who was also at the event, who just happened to be the head of communications for McKinsey. Jahil pulled him aside and said, man, you got to give me some talking points for this panel. And the next day, Jahil walked into that panel and, in his own words, was able to knock it out of the park. That one event skyrocketed Hello Tractor's business overnight. It led to an appointment on a White House advisory council under the Obama administration, and it sparked the relationship that led to their strategic partnership with John Deere, because the head of Africa for John Deere saw the event and reached out. All these things kind of serendipitously were born out of this one event, he says. Now, think about how much work that would have taken otherwise. Months of cold outreach, unanswered emails, trying to get in front of the right people at John Deere, trying to get in touch with someone at the White House, not to mention the President of the United States. One event did all of that in one fell swoop. Now, let me point out here, his first instinct was to decline. And if his friend had nudged him, none of this would have happened. That's the cost of running on autopilot. Too many founders are caught up in efficiency, productivity, heads down, getting things done, and they don't leave space in their day for the unexpected. That's the first piece. And the second piece is readiness. It started with a speech coaching session. Nothing about it was urgent or connected to any public speaking goal at the time, but something nudged Jahil to take advantage. And without realizing it, he was preparing to have a very high-profile role speaking on stage. Then it just so happened that he was the one chosen to moderate that panel with President Obama and President Kenyatta. And it just so happened that his buddy was well-positioned to give him the right talking points. And it just so happened that John Deere's head of Africa learned about Hello Tractor from that path. There's no way Jahil could have engineered all of this. But if you watch my interview with Jahil, you can see that he has this positive attitude, even in the face of obstacles, and this sense that there's opportunity all around him. And if you're thinking, yeah, but what about when you get bad luck? Business guru Jim Collins and his team studied over 20,000 companies to find out what separated the ones that thrived from the ones that didn't. And the great ones weren't any luckier. They just got a better return on the luck they had. If you want me to make a video on how to get a better return on luck, drop ROL in the comments. So being lucky is not just something that happens to other people. Extraordinary events are happening like clockwork around you once every 35 days. The only question is whether you'll be tuned in enough to notice. So here's a micro experiment you can try right after this video. Put your mind in an expectant state. Say to yourself, what if today is the 35th day? And then tune your antenna to pick up on signals, messages from random conversations, songs you overhear, street signs even. And then break out of autopilot. Walk down a different street to the gym. Wear the bright red shirt or the baseball cap you don't normally wear. Eat with your non-dominant hand. Anything that pulls you out of your practiced routine. And then when you notice something a little out of the ordinary, take action. Talk to the person you wouldn't normally talk to. Pick up the book that catches your eye. That's how you find doors you didn't know existed. Learning how to tune your antenna to signal, not noise, and trusting yourself to take bold action, that's one of the fundamental skills I help my clients develop. If you want to learn more, the first step is a Create from the Future session. This is a complimentary 90-minute call for founders who are scaling fast. And we map out where you'll be 12 months from now, what you'll have achieved, the challenges you overcame, and who you had to become to get there. I'll put the link in the description if you want to learn more. And if you want to hear the rest of Jahil's story, here's the link to the full episode. Until next time, I'm rooting for you.